Hello!
Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
You ruined my flamboyant intro with your own.
Sorry, can you do it again?
Yeah, I started recording again.
No, I meant just... I don't believe you. You probably just kept it going like the last time you said you started it again.
When was that?
That time when I was like, hey, cut this intro we did because it went nowhere and it was really bad. And you were like, yeah, I'll cut it. And then you didn't cut it. And then I commented on the video, oh my god, he didn't cut it. And then I got like 4 likes.
I don't remember that. Mustn't have happened.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, hello!
Hi, welcome back out to... Oh shit, I kicked my bin. Welcome back to Aetheral Space, Chapter 2. Well, not welcome back to Chapter 2, welcome back to Aetheral Space in general. Now we're on Chapter 2. I call it Chapter 2, but it's Arc 1.2, because it's trendy like that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to call it, because it's like a web novel, and those are like weird because they can't be normal. They have to be like fucking decimals.
Yeah, I'll use the Yggdrasil branches for my next chapter.
Going by worm as a reference, I'd say every 0.2, you know what I mean? Like 0.1 and a 0.2 or a 0.3 and a 0.4. Every 2 decimals is like a chapter. So this will be like the end of chapter 1 if it was a book.
If you say so.
That's how I feel. I mean, unless your book's first chapter is only 9 pages long.
Well, no one knows in these crazy times. You know, maybe we should get to the reading.
Yeah, maybe, punk.
Don't talk to me like that. Oh shit, my cursor's still visible. I can't be bothered turning it off, so you'll be able to see my cursor for this video.
How do you turn off the cursor? I didn't even know that was an option.
It's in OBS.
Oh, well, just turn it off on the recording.
Yeah, I'm gonna move it off screen now, so you still won't be able to see it.
You should probably just turn it off.
I have. I just did.
No, you didn't. I don't.
Let's begin the reading.
You're totally lying.
It's not loading.
Oh my god, you're a liar.
You can watch the video if you want.
Do you want to go first or me?
You go first, and then we can pop one.
Dragan leapt to his feet, all the theories and hypotheses in his head being replaced with panic in an instant. Had he been right? Was Blaine after him? The steel chair toppled to the chair.
Whoops. The steel chair toppled to the floor.
The steel chair toppled to the chair. Alright, the steel chair toppled to the floor with a dull thunk. No. He mustn't panic. Dragan clutched his chest with a hand, his breathing heavy. Even if Blaine were after him, there was no way she could get him. She was strapped down with the best prison equipment that Supremacy can buy. Liar. This ship is cheap and fragile, you know that. Why, oh why must his inner monologue be so traitorous? Dragan looked around his cabin. What was his best course of action? Hide here? Prepare to fight? She's a seasoned criminal. You're a glorified clerk. Fighting isn't an option, idiot. Hiding, then? There was room under the bed for him to sneeze. In the chaos of an escape, she wasn't going to be able to check every nook and cranny. Likely, she wouldn't even check this cabin. Are you sure about that? Yes, of course he was sure. It's weird because it feels like he's arguing with his mind, but like the way it's written, it kind of feels like his mind is arguing with the narrator. Which is just interesting to know. Yes, of course he was sure. Don't be. If she's escaping with such ease, it's likely she has help on the inside. If that's the case, it's more than possible she already knows which cabin you've been assigned to. You should get as far away as possible, as quickly as possible. With the fear showing his deliberate thinking, Dragan's subconscious reasoning was outpacing his conscious mind by a wide margin. It wasn't great to be looked down on by yourself. He charged for the door, pulling himself into the corridor the moment the sliding doors opened. The hallway beyond was bathed in red light, the ship on high alert. Whooping sirens echoed, and steel shutters had slammed down to cover all the viewports and windows. It was like being packed into a can. If Blaine was coming for him, assuming she knew his location, he needed to hide in the cabin 2 doors away from his own. If he hid in his own cabin, he'd be found without question. But if he didn't, there was a possibility Blaine would think she'd gotten the wrong cabin and search the ones immediately next to it, too. If she didn't find him there, she'd assumed he'd hidden somewhere far away and not searched the next set. She wouldn't have the time to, anyway. She'd be fighting guards and the security systems with every step she took. Dragan almost leapt out of his skin as he heard the slam of something striking a wall in the distance. Less thinking, more doing. Moving as quickly as he could, Dragan made his way to the cabin 2 doors to the left of his own. All the doors were automatic on the ship from what he'd observed, so all one had to do to open them was stand there for a few seconds. Dragan stood there for a few seconds. Nothing happened. You only have access to your own cabin. Basic security system. Shouldn't come as a surprise. The other doors won't work either, so don't bother. Then he needed to run for it. That wouldn't do you any good. The noise you heard a few seconds ago wasn't that far away, so it's a good bet she's almost here. Plus, she can outrun you without a doubt. Didn't you see her muscles? Well trained without a doubt. A lot of without a doubts.
Yeah, I'll change that.
Then, plan A. Hide under the bed. Both parts of his mind, at least on that point, were in sync. Dragan whirled around, ready to run back to his room, but stopped the moment he got a good look down the corridor. Ruth Blaine stood there, breathing heavy, the sparking head of a security drone crushed between her fingers. Red aether crackled around her, illuminating the dark spot of the corridor she'd stepped out into. What did you say?
Menacing.
Yeah, I straight up been imagining like the fucking menacing JoJo music, and she's got the red lightning in her hand. Their eyes locked, bright blue and bright yellow. Wait, whose or whose?
Dragan's blue.
Okay. Blaine wiped a trickle of blood from her lip and dropped the drone head to the ground with a thunk. Dragan Helgen, she said, voice hoarse. Oh, sorry. Dragan Helgen, she said, voice hoarse in a tone that. Dragan Hadrien, she said,
Dragan Helgen, no.
In a tone that suggested she already knew full well it was him. Is that horse? Did I do horse right?
Yeah.
Okay. Get ready to fight. Popcorn.
He had no way of winning. No, but you can delay her until someone who can shows up. She won't kill you. Was he sure about that? 72%.
Oh, fuck off with your made up. Where did you get that percentage, Dragan, huh?
Smart boy.
Where did you get that?
You can't comprehend the cognizant mind.
Sorry, it's just a trope I love to make fun of. I'm not hating on you.
He looked into a million possible futures.
And only in 72% of them did he get out alive.
Dragan stepped back, took in a deep breath, and as he did, he reached for his aether. The blue sparks surrounded his body like static electricity, diffused as much as possible so as to shield his body. Blaine raised an eyebrow. Oh? She grinned. Nobody told me you know how to dance, little guy. This is me talking to you before we record a podcast.
That's what I was just gonna say.
The red aether coating her body erupted into a flash, and when it cleared, Dragan was no longer looking at a human face anymore.
That line was actually inspired by the girl who took Tan to prom back when he was in high school.
What?
She said that to him. Nobody told me you knew how to dance, little guy.
The thing now covering the front of Ruth Blaine's face was like a welding mask forced into the shape of a skull. The square grill over the jaw like a mockery of teeth. The two black circles covering Blaine's eyes regarded Dragan intently, watching for what he would do next. There were other new additions to Blaine's wardrobe, steel bars in the shape of a ribcage covering her chest, and iron claws strapped to the back of her fingers, the points gleaming ominously. She'd made that armour with aether, that much was clear. Sweat ran down the back of Dragan's neck. She was clearly far beyond his abilities.
So wait, sorry to interrupt. Did the aether like solidify into armor, or is that's so cool.
The most he could manage right now was standing still without his aether instantly diffusing into nothingness. I don't know whether to muffle this manually. Not gonna say anything? No. Not gonna say anything? Taunted Blaine, her voice muffled by the skull mask. It's no fun without the banter, you know. Trying to look crazier than she is. Intimidation technique. Dragan opened his mouth to say something to show that he wouldn't be so easily frightened. And the moment he did, Ruth Blaine was upon him. She'd leapt down the entire hallway with a single kick, the movement animalistic, her shining red hair like a flowing mane behind her. Her clawed hands were open, lunging. She intended to grab Dragan and not slash him, but it would be painful all the same.
You know what I'm imagining in my head? Have you played Yakuza 0?
I have seen it, yeah.
There's this lady who like beats up this dude, and she teaches you how to use beast style, and just all the clawing and the crazy animals. It's just reminding me of that. I love that game.
Clumsily, but with all the speed his body could muster, Dragan threw himself to the ground. As he collapsed into a heap, his aether dissipated into nothingness around him. He felt wind rush against his hair. Blaine had passed right over his head. Dude,
his stand power is so weak, he has no will to fight.
The only hope he had in a fight was avoiding her. He'd gone through combat training, same as any member of the Supremacy's military, but Blaine clearly had vastly more experience. He got up to his feet, almost slipping on the smooth floor as he did, only to be met by Blaine's leg, coming towards him in a vicious kick. No time to dodge. Use your aether to block. Blue sparks began manifesting around his body, but it was too late. The speed at which Blaine moved was simply unfair.
I love that line because it fits like a snobby, pretentious dude like Dragan pretty well.
The leg slammed into his midsection, angled so that the metal exoskeleton clutching it didn't hit him, and sent him collapsing back to the ground. He clutched his stomach, groaning, suppressing the urge to vomit. He wouldn't give her that satisfaction. The pain was excruciating, but not as much as it should have been. A kick like that should have smashed some ribs. Had he managed to protect himself with his Aether? He heard Blaine sucking air between her teeth. Oof, I'm real sorry. The way you were standing, I thought you'd be stronger, so I might have gone a little overboard. You okay? She sounded surprisingly genuine, but that didn't make the situation any less humiliating. Popcorn.
Don't let her look down on you. There was an application of Aether he hadn't tried yet. Twitching on the ground, Dragan tensed his body, preparing himself to move when the moment came. Blaine's apology got no reply, and he could hear her approaching to check on him, making sure she hadn't killed her quarry. That was fine. That was good. He had to make sure this was point blank. He felt her hand grab at a strap on the back of his cadet suit, trying to pull him up. And at the same moment, he rolled over to face her. His teeth were bared in an expression of utmost effort, his eyes bulging and his left hand facing towards Blaine, palm flat. Crackling Aether was concentrated around it. Blaine's eyes widened. The Aether came together even more, forming a... I'm not trying to make fun of you, but is he using a Rasengan?
That's basically what he's trying, yeah.
He's forming a minuscule sphere glowing with an intense light, its shape flickering and warping with instability. Thrusting his palm as close to her face as he could, Dragan fired. The ball struck her in the face, scattered into disparate sparks, and faded. Ruth Blaine barely even flinched. Dragan gaped at her. She raised an eyebrow, a pitying smirk on her lips. You do know Aether's a shitty projectile by itself, right? See, I actually like that. That's like a very clever way to build the lore of Aether without like giving us a huge exposition, just that little bit. And I assume you're going to do that more in the future.
Yeah.
No, he hadn't known that. That hadn't been mentioned anywhere in the files he'd managed to scrounge together. He'd be sure to remember it. Yeah, he should have just done it Rasengan style and kept it in his hand. Blaine's fist came down and everything went black. When Dragan came to, he was greeted by the sensation of being thrown into a corner like a sack of potatoes. Excuse me. He fell into a heap, the pain so intense he held no delusions of moving around. A high-pitched ringing drilled through his ear. He coughed. Through his eye that wasn't facing the floor, Dragan could see Blaine fighting against a squad of 3 soldiers who'd managed to corner them in one of the hangars. Evidently, she decided it'd be easier to fight without Dragan weighing her down. The soldiers aimed at her, firing bolts of plasma from their rifles, but with that strange skeletal armor of hers, Blaine was far too fast, dodging the projectiles with ease and landing on all fours like some wild animal next to the nearest guard. Grabbing him by the ankle, she swung, picking the man up with one hand and smacking his comrades around with his bike. Wow, she really does fight like that girl from Yakuza. Like the same idea. 1 strike, 2, and the man was dropped to the ground. His unconscious friends lay next to him. Blaine started walking back towards him. I assume the him this time is Dragan.
Yeah.
Dragan had to try to escape. He had to at least make some token effort. His body rebelling with electrifying pain. He tried to pick himself up. If he just gave up, how could he respect himself? More importantly, how could he have other people respect him? Still vain to the end. Gotta respect it, Dragan. Her feet stopped in front of him. If you try and run, she said, I'm gonna have to kick you again. He instantly gave up, flopping back to the ground like a fish. His pride wasn't worth another one of those kicks. You know what, Dragan? Honestly, I actually do love Dragan. Even though he's like a total shithead, he's just so funny. Clearly, he was still somewhat out of it. He only noticed after the fact that Blaine had thrown him over her shoulder like a sack of potatoes again, his legs swinging freely. There was a beep. Blaine had taken out the script, and then his captor spoke. You're taking your time, Skipper. Kind of need a way out now. That special officer's figured out the distraction. See, this reminds me of Worm 2, because if I see where this is going, I think they're going to kidnap Dragan and basically force him onto their team, right?
Well, I can say.
Just my prediction. Another muffled voice from the script. Male, older from the sound of it. Give me a second. This isn't exactly easy for me either.
So basically a script in this world is like a smartphone.
Right. Blaine tapped her foot, the noise echoing throughout the cleared hangar. Okay, she said. It's been a second. A sigh came from the script, with another sound in the background. Turret fire? Don't try to be clever, Ruth. It doesn't suit you. You wait much longer, breathing won't suit me either. Don't joke about that. Bruno's got the controls. We're coming in now. As if on cue, the sound of scraping metal rang out through the hangar as the blast doors taking up one entire wall opened, sparks flying from the forced action. Beyond it was the black gulf of space. For a moment, Dragan thought he'd be sucked out, but there was a telltale rippling in the air where the blast doors had been. The pressure shield was still active. A small ship came down from above, maneuvering itself into the gap made available. It was a clumsy, patchwork little thing from the looks of it. It had started off a supremacy shuttle, but over time had so many bits and pieces from other ships bolted onto it that it was probably one of a kind. A blazing light on the front of the craft illuminated the hangar, and the second after it spotted Blaine, the ship turned around and reversed itself halfway through the pressure shield. They intended to blast off right after Blaine boarded. She took a step towards the shuttle, Dragan limp over her shoulder. "If you let the hostage go," a voice said quietly from behind them, "I'll let you live." Blaine whirled around. Even Dragan forced his head to look up at who had spoken. Popcorn.
Atoy Mazazi stood in the entrance to the hangar.
Mazazi!
Ah, boy!
He came back!
Sword from the last chapter.
Yeah.
Sword unsheathed and pointed directly at Blaine. His grey eyes were cold, dull. White aether crackled in the air around him, his sword reflecting the light to such a degree that it seemed that it itself was glowing.
So, I'm interested, because I thought aether was really rare, right?
A little bit. It's not like something the convenience store clerk would have.
Right. Okay, so it's rare, but it's not like the chosen one every 10,000 years. It's like 1 in 1,000.
Yeah, it's something...
That's cool. And it seems like each person has their own aether color?
There's a few different things, yeah. So I might mention the first chapter. So most people have a different aether color, and also sometimes there's like a physical trait that happens when you're using aether, like Dragan's eyes glowed.
Yeah, and he mentioned that was one of the nicer ones. A lot of them are more grotesque or inconvenient.
Yeah, it's mentioned briefly here, but Ruth Blaine's hair glowed when she was doing it.
Her eyes glowed? Oh, her hair glowed.
Yeah,
what happens with the toy? His eyes were cold, dull. I guess that's what his is.
Yeah, some people just don't have them, though. White aether crackled... Oh, I've read that. If he'd had the strength, Dragan could have shouted at him. Why had he bothered calling after Blaine? Why get her attention? Special officers should be more than capable of assassinating someone from behind. Dragan scanned the man. The sword, the stance, the gaze. Ah, the kind of idiot that believed in honor. Well, that was all well and good, but it didn't do him much good, did it? Too real.
Fucking Dragan is so selfish.
Well, he's being kidnapped.
I know, but he's just so snarky to the end.
He felt Blaine adjust her stance just slightly, enough to put herself into a position to run or attack depending on how things progressed. She took a deep breath, clearly steeling herself. She wasn't fully confident in her ability to fight this man. "Ha! What guarantee do I have that you won't kill me anyway?" she said, laughing with false confidence. Neither Mazazi's stance nor his gaze changed in the slightest. "I just gave you it. You can choose to believe me or not. You have 5 seconds." Blaine gulped, quietly, suppressing it as much as she could.
Oh, she's totally just going to jump on the ship while he's counting.
1. She shifted the angle of her foot just slightly. 2. Mazazi's eyes snapped down for a moment, observing the change. 3. This is your chance. 4. Dragan moved. There was no other way to describe it. It wasn't movement with any purpose or direction, just a general spasm to throw Blaine off her balance. His body punished him for it instantly, like fire had been injected into his veins, but the maneuver worked. Blaine stumbled backwards, and at the same moment, as 4 seconds became 5, Mazazi charged. Dragan had thought he'd seen absurd speed when Blaine had first come for him in the hallway, but that was like swimming in molasses compared to this. 1 second, Mazazi was standing in the entrance, then a blaze of light erupted from his back and he was right in Blaine's face. His eyes were wide, pupils pinprick promises of murder.
He's straight up doing the fucking Zenitsu from Demon Slayer.
Feral.
So intense.
With all her strength, Ruth Blaine threw Dragan to the side, abandoning her load. In what was becoming a depressing...
this guy gets thrown around all... Oh, never mind.
In what was becoming a depressingly common experience, he landed in a painful heap in a place he didn't recognise. Dull brown rather than the sleek white of the ship. You're in the shuttle. They've opened the back port for Blaine. Adjusting himself into the least painful position, Dragan witnesses... No, I must fix this. Witnessed.
Wait, it said she abandoned him, but is that really the truth? Because he's on the... she like sacrificing herself to load him?
Well, she like threw it off the side, so from his point of view in that moment, it was like, bye. He got yeeted.
Damn.
Let me just get back to where we were. So So he witnessed the sequence of events that consumed the next few seconds. When in charge, Musazi's sword had been pointing upwards towards the ceiling, and now he brought it down in a devastating downward slash. At the same moment, Blaine's red Aether burst into a flash of light just as her opponent's had before he charged. When it cleared, the skeletal armor she'd been wearing for escape had been replaced with a new
remove the
ensemble.
just before the before.
Yeah. I will do that as well, but I've been editing throughout all the videos, so I'm going to try and get through. So it'd be replaced with a new ensemble. Rather than the scrapyard aesthetic that she'd had previously, this new set of armor was marble white, covering her I should say whole body, I think that was autocorrect, own body, artful contours and delicate engravings, making it seem like something ceremonial rather than being meant for battle. A tuft of her red hair escaped from a opening in the back of the helmet, still glowing. The descending sword struck the helmet, and two things happened at once. The helmet shattered like glass, and Atoy Musazi went flying backwards. Blaine went flying backwards too, of course, with a high-pitched yelp of pain, but it wasn't nearly as violent. Her going flying was a result of the force of the blow, whereas Musazi was spent towards the entrance with such speed that it was like he'd been repelled by a magnet. Even with the obviously painful blow, a trail of blood was trickling down into her left eye. Blaine didn't waste her opportunity. She turned and ran for the shuttle, the rest of her burdensome white armour disintegrating into red Aether. There was another flare as she switched to her skeletal set, and with the enhanced speed that seemed to grant, she leapt into the shuttle like an animal pouncing on its prey. Run for it. This is your last chance. Dragan tried to get up, he really did, but his legs didn't obey him. Neither did his hands, for that matter. All his limbs were quivering in shock, and any attempts to get them to do anything but that were doomed for failure. The back port slid shut with a cold thunk, and a moment later the craft rumbled with a sensation of thrusters and speed. Blaine heaved a sigh of relief, Dragan a groan of despair. He had officially been kidnapped.
Yeah, this guy, Dragan, kind of sucks.
He was just hanging out and he started beating the shit out of him.
Well, he deserved to be kidnapped. I hope he learned some character from this experience.
What did he do? Oh yeah, he was bad boy.
So I have a couple questions. Since one of the advantages of this read aloud series is I can ask the author questions directly.
Okay.
So I really like Aether. I have a couple questions. One, is it limited? Kind of like, a lot of abilities have if you use it too much, you get tired, or there's only so much juice in a day before you're out of it. Is Aether limited in that regard?
So it's more like keeping it up that is the issue than having a finite amount of it. It takes concentration.
So it should be thought of kind of like holding your breath. Like every time you try to hold your breath again, it's a whole new time. But it's the holding the breath while you're under water that's the hard part.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say she switched armor a lot, so I didn't know if she just had a really big pool of Aether. But knowing that's how Aether works is interesting.
Yeah, so if you break your concentration, as long as you're concentrating, you can keep going for a long time, unless actual physical fatigue from running around and fighting all the time catches up to you.
So it really seems like Aether is a battle of trying to break your opponent's concentration, which was easy with Dragan, and it kind of makes sense. We see him struggle, and the whole time he was trying to fight her, he was having an inner monologue with himself.
Yeah.
And even though cogitants are super good at brain stuff, I imagine that wasn't helping his case.
Yeah, that sort of worked against him in that case because he's second guessing himself.
I imagine once he finally masters it, though, having all the epic cogitant mind ability is going to be super good with focusing. Yeah.
He's not top class cogitant either, so there are people that absurdly more perceptive than him.
Yeah, I hope one day he goes into his mind palace and he runs into Bird. They connect somehow. But yeah, this has been fun. I actually got invested to the point where I was worried I would miss a popcorn because I accidentally read ahead a couple of times. I was just having so much fun with it.
No worries.
I like this. This is totally something I would have loved to read back when I was in I mean, I'm not saying this is a book for kids, but I used to read a lot when I was younger, and I would have loved to read something like this when I was in school.
Yeah, I wish I knew how to look at books anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I know, right? I used to read all the time as a kid, and now I can't be fucked to read anything without pictures. No, that's not true. I'm reading a tactics book to punish you guys in D&D about how to make the monsters more tactical.
So if you enjoyed the chapter, everyone, please stick around, because so my plan is once I've got the first arc of this web serial properly done on our end, I'll start posting it on some sort of web serial hosting website online, and then I'll use all of you to post positive reviews.
Yeah, I mean, and if you wanted to monetize this,
to me at last.
If you wanted to monetize this would totally work in tandem with a Patreon. I don't know if that's the route you want to go with this or not.
Oh, you can see
but
it.
Something you
the devil is in his. You can't see, but Darnell's eyes have turned into dollar signs.
Well, you can do something like you get the chapter a week early if you're patron.
Yeah, that's the
and
general way it's done.
like Crunchyroll style. So it's not like if you don't pay, you can't read. It's just a little way to support you while still getting some benefit. Yeah, the devil comes out in my eyes when it comes to monetization. Because I love doing what we do, but we got to put bread on the table, meat on the table, bread. Let's start with bread. Bread's cheaper.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching, everyone.
Yeah. Or listening, should we say, because you probably had your eyes closed and were lying oh so comfortably in your bed.
While I whisper the secrets of Dragan into your ear.
Yeah, sorry I interrupted a little bit more than last time, but just there were a lot of really cool things I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I have fun reading this. In fact, I wouldn't mind doing the next one right away, but I know we want to space this out until he's got more.
No worries. Well, maybe we can record it right away.
Are you sure? Do you want it? Are you sure?
Sure.
It's up to you.
But you'll still have to wait till next week, listeners.
Oh, so definitely she got you, Batman.